The arena's last prize, the alien arena, shook with thunderous noise. Thousands of voices, deep growls, metallic clicks, strange alien roars echoed through the giant dome. High above, banners of every alien empire flapped in the artificial wind. In the center of it all stood Commander Rylan, the only human to ever win the great trials. His armor was scratched and burned, but he stood tall. Around him, the alien champions he had defeated lay unconscious or too afraid to move. The blood and dust on the arena floor told the story he had fought harder than anyone expected. And he had won. From the royal balcony, the Emperor of the Young, Frel Empire rose. His golden robe shimmered like liquid fire, and his 4 eyes studied Rylan with a strange mix of curiosity and calculation. "You have fought with skill, human," the Emperor's voice boomed, amplified so every corner of the arena could hear. "As the victor, you may claim any prize from the Empire's vault. Wealth, a warship, territory, weapons beyond your kind's imagination. Choose." The crowd cheered. Some shouted offers fortunes, titles, even entire planets. But Rylan didn't move. His eyes scanned the rows of prizes being brought forward, mountains of gold coins, crates of alien technology, jeweled crowns from conquered worlds. Then he saw her dot at the very back. Almost hidden in the shadows stood a small figure. She wore a simple, torn gown, her wrists bound by thin silver chains. Her skin was pale, almost luminous, and her silver-gray eyes looked down at the floor. She was trembling not from fear of Rylan, but from the cold of the night air. Thin arms, fragile frame. She looked more like a ghost than a princess. Whispers spread through the alien nobles sitting near the Emperor. "That's the youngest princess, the weak one, worthless, sickly since birth. Why is she even here? No one would choose her." Rylan's gaze stayed on her. He noticed things the others ignored, the way her hands clenched slightly when the crowd laughed, the way her eyes darted up for a moment, and then quickly away. She wasn't completely broken. Not yet. The Emperor's voice broke through his. "Thoughts? Well, human, what will you take?" Rylan lifted his head. His voice was calm, but every word carried through the silence that suddenly fell. "I choose her." The arena froze. For a moment, there was no sound, no roar, no whisper, not even the hum of the arena's shields. Then the noise exploded. Shocked shouts, mocking laughter, confused murmurs. "You waste your victory." One alien barked from the stands. "The human has lost his mind." Another hissed. Even the Emperor's expression shifted, his smirk twitching into something colder. "You choose the frail princess? She cannot fight. She cannot serve. She has no value." "She's mine," Rylan said simply. "That's my choice." The Emperor's 4 eyes narrowed. Slowly, he nodded. "Very well. Take her. But don't expect her to last long." 2 alien guards pushed the girl forward. She stumbled, nearly falling before catching herself. When her eyes met Rylan's for the first time, there was no gratitude, only confusion, and a hint of fear. Rylan stepped forward and cut the chains. From her wrists, the metal clinked to the floor. She rubbed her hands, but said nothing. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. She hesitated before answering, voice so soft he almost didn't hear it. "Liara." He nodded once. "You're safe now, Liara. Safe." The word seemed to mean nothing to her. She looked away, as if afraid to believe it. Behind them, the Emperor turned and gave orders to his advisors. Rylan didn't need to hear the words to know what they meant. He could feel the danger in the air. Choosing Liara had not only surprised the galaxy, it had made enemies doubt. As Rylan led her out of the arena, alien eyes followed them. Some were amused, others were sharp with suspicion. Rylan knew exactly what they were thinking. Why would a human waste his victory on someone so weak? But Rylan had learned long ago that weakness was often an illusion. He had seen soldiers in the field who looked strong, but broke in a single fight. And he had seen the quiet ones, those who endured silently outlast everyone. He had a feeling. Liara belonged to the second kind. They reached the hangar where his small human ship waited. His crew was already preparing for departure, but they stopped when they saw who walked beside him. Commander, his second-in-command, Kara, said, in disbelief, "Please tell me this is not your prize." "This is my choice," Rylan replied without hesitation. Kara shook her head, but didn't argue. She had seen Rylan make strange decisions before decisions that often turned out to be smarter than anyone guessed. As the ship's ramp closed. Behind them, Rylan noticed Lyra's gaze flicker to the starry sky, visible through the hangar's force field. For a second, something changed in her eyes. Not fear. Not sadness. Hope. But it was gone as quickly as it appeared. Raylan said nothing, but inside, he made a quiet promise to himself. Whatever her story is, no one will harm her while she's under my watch. Far behind them, in the Emperor's private balcony, a tall figure in black armor leaned toward the Emperor and spoke in a low, dangerous voice. "Shall I follow them?" The Emperor's 4 eyes glinted. "Yes, and make sure the human never learns why she was hidden in the first place." *A fragile. The hum of the ship's engines filled the air as Rylan guided Lyra through the narrow corridors. She walked slowly, her bare feet making no sound on the metal floor. Every time the ship's hull creaked, she flinched as if expecting someone to strike her. Kara followed a step behind, her eyes sharp. "Commander," she said quietly, "this isn't going to work." She's not ready for life outside her palace prison. Kara stopped, searching for the right word. Frail? Rylan finished for her. Kara gave a slow nod. "We just fought half the galaxy to win the trials. And now we're leading with someone who looks like a strong breeze could knock her down." Rylan didn't answer. He opened the door to a small guest cabin and motioned Lyra inside. She hesitated, her eyes darting between them. It was as if she didn't know whether she was being given shelter or another kind of cell. "It's yours," Rylan told her. "You can lock the door from the inside." She stared at him like he had spoken a language she didn't understand. Slowly, she stepped inside. Her fingers brushed over the bed's blanket, as if testing whether it was real. Then she sat carefully, like she might be punished for touching it. Kara muttered under her breath. "She doesn't even know she's free." Rylan closed the door gently. "She'll learn." Hours later, the mess hall smelled faintly of ration stew. Rylan sat at the far table, scanning the ship's logs. Lyra appeared in the doorway, silent and hesitant, her gown trailing along the floor. She glanced at the food dispenser, then at the crew, as though unsure if she was allowed to approach. "Hungry?" Rylan asked. She froze and nodded once. He stood, filled a bowl, and handed it to her. Her fingers trembled as she took it. She sat far from everyone, eating slowly, like she had learned to make small portions last as long as possible. Kara leaned in and whispered, "She's not just scared, Rylan. She's trained to be invisible." Before Rylan could answer, the ship's alarm beeped twice, a long-range sensor alert. He strode to the console. "Talk to me." The pilot's voice was tense. "We've got a contact, Commander. Small ship. Minimal signature. They've been tailing us since we left the arena." Raylan's jaw tightened. Cloaked? Some kind of hybrid stealth field. "But they're not losing us," Kara swore under her breath. "Bounty hunters." Lyra's spoon froze halfway to her mouth. Her eyes flicked toward the display screen, and then back to Rylan. "It's not bounty hunters," she said softly. Every head in the room turned toward her. "What do you mean?" Rylan asked. She stopped herself, pressing her lips together. Then, quietly, "They're here for me." Minutes later, the bridge Liara stood near the viewport, her thin hands gripping the railing. The blackness of space stretched endlessly ahead, dotted with cold stars. The cloaked ship kept its distance, but didn't break off. "They won't attack yet," she said suddenly. Ryland's head snapped toward her. "How do you know that?" Her eyes flickered hesitation, fear, but then she answered. "Because they're not hunters. They're cleaners. They follow orders to erase problems from the Emperor." Kara guessed. Liara didn't answer, which was answer enough. The pilot's voice came again. "They're closing in, Commander." Ryland moved to the comms. "Plot a jump to the nearest neutral sector." Liara shook her head quickly. "No, they'll expect that. There's only one place they won't follow." "And where's that?" Ryland asked. She took a deep breath. "An asteroid field, deep in the outer rim. I can give you the coordinates." Kara frowned. "And how do you know about this place?" Liara's voice was calm now, almost too calm. "Because it belongs to me." Moments later, asteroid field the ship dove into a twisting maze of massive rocks, some glowing faintly from mineral deposits. Shadows danced across the hull as they weaved through narrow gaps. The pursuing ship hesitated at the edge, scanning. "They're holding position," the pilot confirmed. Raylan glanced at Liara. She didn't look relieved. She looked focused. "Keep going," she told him. "Why?" Kara asked. "Because we're almost there." A jagged asteroid loomed ahead, larger than the rest. At first, it looked solid, but as they approached, the rock split open like a mouth, revealing a hidden docking bay glowing with faint blue light. The ship slid inside. As soon as they crossed the threshold, massive steel doors closed behind them, sealing them in. The revelation, as the engines powered down, the lights in the bay shifted. A voice deep, metallic, and strangely gentle filled the chamber. "Welcome home, Your Highness." Kara's eyes widened. "What did it just call you?" Liara turned to Ryland. "This is the place they didn't want you to find." Ryland's instincts screamed that this wasn't just a hiding spot. It was something bigger. Something dangerous. And for the first time, Liara was standing straighter, as if the weight on her shoulders had lessened. Asterisk, the hunt begins. The hidden docking bay's walls shimmered faintly, like starlight trapped in stone. Strange, curved pillars rose from the floor, each etched with glowing alien symbols. The air felt warmer here, almost alive. Ryland stepped forward cautiously, scanning every corner. Kara's hand stayed near her blaster. But Liara walked with a strange confidence, as though every step was familiar. The deep metallic voice echoed again. "Welcome, Guardian. Your return was unexpected." Kara's eyes darted to Ryland. "Guardian?" Ryland studied Lyra's face. "What is this place?" She turned toward him slowly. "It's called the Last Gate. My people built it long before I was born. It's one of the oldest defense stations in the galaxy. It can control weapons, fleets, even planetary shields." Kara raised an eyebrow. "And why would something like that call you Guardian?" Lyra's voice was steady, but her hands twisted together. "Because I'm the only one left who can unlock it." The truth unfolds. She walked toward a large pedestal in the center of the bay. As she neared, the pillars lit up, one by one, until the entire room glowed. Holographic maps of star systems floated in the air, some marked with red flashing warnings. "When I was a child," Liara said, "the Royal Archives taught me about the gate. My bloodline carries a genetic key. I was meant to be the last. Defense if the Empire fell into enemy hands." She paused, her voice tightening. "But the process to activate it would destroy the one who carries the key." Kara's eyes narrowed. "So your family saw you as expendable." Lyara gave a bitter smile. They saw me as a broken tool. Too weak to rule. Too valuable to let live freely. Rylan stepped closer to the maps. And now the cleaners are here to erase that tool permanently. Before Lyara could answer, the station's AI interrupted. Alert. Pursuing vessel detected. Stealth field active. Distance 4,000 units and closing. Raylan swore under his breath. They found a way to track us. A deadly game in the Bay's control room. Holographic screens showed the cloaked ship weaving through the asteroid field, moving faster now. The AI's voice was calm, but the tension in the room was sharp. They won't stop, Lyara said quietly. Not until I'm gone. If they capture me, they'll destroy the gate before I can use it. Kara turned to Rylan. Commander, we can still jump out. Leave the station. Take her somewhere safer. But Lyara shook her head. If we leave now, they'll follow us and the gate will be lost. This station has weapons they can't counter, if I can wake them. Rylan studied her for a long moment. How long? Minutes, maybe less. But once it's active, I can lock them out forever. The activation Lara placed her hands on the pedestal. The air hummed with energy. Blue light spiraled up her arms, wrapping around her like threads of fire. Her silver eyes glowed brighter, reflecting the holographic stars. The AI's tone shifted, almost reverent. Genetic signature confirmed, initiating Guardian protocols. Panels in the walls slid open, revealing massive cannons hidden within the asteroid's surface. Energy crackled along their lengths. On the screens, the pursuing ship slowed, scanning frantically. They must have realized they were no longer the hunters. 2 minutes, Lyara said through clenched teeth. Just keep them from firing. First strike, the cloaked ship fired suddenly, a beam of red energy slicing past the station. The asteroid walls shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Raylan grabbed the comm. All crew battle stations. Kara took position at the secondary turret controls. If they get through the shields, we're done. The station's cannons began to glow, but the AI spoke with urgency. Power output unstable. Guardian's vitals dropping. Rylan glanced at Lyara. Her skin was pale, her breathing shallow, but her hands didn't leave the pedestal. Almost there, she whispered. Counterattack the cannons fired in perfect unison beams of white-blue energy, cutting through the void. The pursuing ship's stealth field shattered like glass, revealing sleek black armor marked with the Emperor's crest. They sent one of the Royal Execution ships. Kara muttered, That's bad. The first volley tore through the execution. Ship's shields, but it kept coming, weapons blazing. The station rocked with each impact. Lyara, Rylan shouted. We can't hold this forever. Her eyes locked on his. You don't need to. Just one more second. The lockdown with a final pulse of light, the pedestal went dark. Lyara collapsed, but the AI's voice rang out, loud and certain. Guardian protocol complete. Target vessel neutralized. On the screens, the execution. Ship froze mid-flight. Then, piece by piece, it came apart, its systems torn apart by invisible force. The wreck drifted silently into the asteroid field. Rylan caught Lyara before she hit the floor. Her breathing was shallow, but she was alive. The AI spoke again. The gate is secure. No hostile vessel will approach without the Guardian's command. Kara exhaled slowly. She just turned the most dangerous station in the galaxy into her personal fortress. Rylan looked down at Lyra's faint smile. And for the first time, he understood maybe choosing her wasn't just a surprise to the galaxy. Maybe it was the smartest move he'd ever made. Asterisk secrets in the blood. The control room was quiet now. Only the faint hum of the station's systems filled the air. Outside the viewport, the wreckage of the execution ship drifted in silence, broken. into glowing fragments that slowly faded into the asteroid field. Raylan carried Liara to a seat. Her skin was cold, her breath shallow. Kara rushed forward with a medkit, scanning her vitals. "She's stable." "For now," Kara said. "But her pulse is weak, and her blood pressure is dropping fast." Raylan crouched beside her. "What happened?" "That station didn't just drain energy. It drained you?" Lyra's lips moved, barely making a sound. "That's the price." "Of the key." The price of power. With Kara's help, Raylan got her to the medical bay. The station's eye sent out soft beams of scanning light over her body. Its voice was calm, but the words made Raylan tense. Guardian's cellular structure shows accelerated. Decay. Power transfer reduced her lifespan by an estimated 20 years. Kara's eyes widened. 20 years? "That's," Liara cut her off with a faint smile. "It's why they called me weak. They knew if I ever used the gate, I'd earn myself away." Raylan gritted his teeth. "And they were ready to kill you before anyone else found out." Liara closed her eyes. "The Empire values its tools. But when the tool breaks, they throw it away." The unspoken history later, after she had been given fluids and warmth, Liara sat propped against the bed's frame. Her voice was still quiet, but steadier. "My mother was the last true guardian. She never activated the gate. She knew the cost. But when she died, the bloodline passed to me. My father, the Emperor, never saw me as a daughter. Only a weapon too fragile to use." Kara leaned against the wall. "So they hid you, locked you away?" Liara nodded. "Until the trials. My brothers wanted to humiliate me, parade me, as one of the worthless prizes. They never thought anyone would choose me." Her gaze met Raylan's. "And then you did." Raylan didn't look away. "I don't care what they think you are. I care what you can be." Something flickered in her expression, something that wasn't fear or sadness. Maybe it was the start of trust. The AI's warning. The AI's voice interrupted. "Commander Raylan, long-range scans detect multiple vessels converging on this sector. Estimated arrival, 6 hours. Flagged as hostile." Kara frowned. "Let me guess, news of the execution ship's destruction spread fast." Raylan stood. "The Emperor won't stop until she's gone. He'll send more ships, bigger ones." Lyra's voice was firm. "Then we use the gate again." Raylan shook his head. "Not if it's killing you every time." The AI added another detail. "Guardian. Protocol has secondary functions. Certain systems can be activated without lethal drain if command is shared." Kara looked between them. "Shared? With who?" The AI's lights shifted toward Raylan. "The human is compatible." A dangerous choice. Liara stared at him. "You'd be linked to the gate. It's not just about power. It will touch your mind, your memories. It could change you." Raylan gave a dry smile. "Wouldn't be the first time the galaxy tried to change me." Kara stepped forward. "You don't even know what it'll do. What if it takes you both down?" Raylan's answer was simple. "Better. 2 of us standing together than are fighting alone." Liara's gaze softened. "You share the burden?" He nodded. "You carried it alone long enough." The blood linked. The AI projected a glowing circle onto the floor. Both parties step into the interface. Raylan and Liara stepped inside. The air shimmered, threads of light rising around them. The AI's voice grew softer, almost ceremonial. Linking genetic signature, merging command authority, balance achieved. Raylan felt a rush of energy, like cold fire racing through his veins. Images flashed in his mind, star maps, alien. Scripts, battles fought centuries ago. He felt Lyra's presence beside him, not just physically, but in his thoughts. Liara gasped softly, her eyes wide. "You can see it too." "The gate's memory." Rylan nodded. And now it's ours. 6 hours to war the A. I confirmed the link. Shared command active. Defensive systems at 64% power. Recommend immediate preparation for incoming fleets. Kara's voice was tense. We'll be outnumbered. Raylan smiled faintly. Let them. Come. The galaxy thinks I wasted my victory. Time to prove them wrong. Lyra's silver eyes glinted in the light. And time to show them that weakness can burn worlds. Asterisk, the last stand the asteroid field was quiet too quiet. The kind of silence that made the air feel heavier, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Raylan stood on the station's command deck, watching the tactical display. Red markers began to appear one by one, then dozens at a time. The Emperor's armada had arrived, massive destroyers, siege carriers, swarms of smaller attack craft. The display counted at least 30 ships. Kara whistled under her breath. Well, they're not here for a friendly chat. Lyra stood beside Rylan, her silver eyes glowing faintly from the link with the gate. They brought more than I expected. Rylan smirked. Good. I hate it when they make things too easy. The first move, the ice calm voice filled the deck. Hostile fleet entering weapons range. Shields at maximum. Recommend preemptive strike. Rylan glanced at Lyra. Your call, Guardian. Her fingers tightened on the control console. Target the lead destroyer. Show them what they're facing. Outside, the asteroid's hidden cannons swiveled into position. Energy built along their barrels, bright enough to light up the rocks around them. Then, with a deafening thrum, they fired. The lead destroyer's shields shattered instantly. A second shot tore through its hull, splitting the ship in two. The explosion rippled through space, fragments spinning off into the void. The alien channels erupted in panic. Some shouted orders to attack, others called for retreat. The swarm strikes back, but the armada didn't scatter. Instead, hundreds of small fighter craft broke away from the larger ships, swarming toward the asteroid like a cloud of stinging insects. Kara's voice was tight. They're trying to overwhelm the defenses. Rylan's hands moved quickly across the controls. Then we overwhelmed them back. The gate's defense drones launched from hidden bays, sleek and silver, each armed with twin plasma cannons. They met the swarm head-on, weaving between the rocks, blasting fighters out of the sky. Even so, some enemy craft broke through, slamming against the station's shields. The impact made the entire deck shudder. Lyra gritted her teeth, feeling the strain of the shared link. They're trying to drain our shields faster than we can recover. The Emperor's voice suddenly, a new signal cut through the comms. A deep, cold voice filled the deck. Human, you have something that belongs to me. Return the girl, and I will let your people live. Rylan didn't even blink. Sorry, I don't make deals with cowards. There was a pause. Then the Emperor's voice grew sharper. You think you've won her loyalty? You think you can protect her? She will burn out. And when she does, you will be left holding ashes. Lyra stepped forward, her voice icy. Better to burn for freedom than live as your prisoner. The Emperor's laugh was low and cruel. Then you both die today. The channel caught, breaking. Point their armada shifted formation, their largest siege carriers moving into position. Massive energy lances began charging at their tips. Kara swore. If those fire together, they'll punch straight through our shields. Rylan looked at Lyra. Through the link, he felt her resolve and her fear. We can take them all, she said quietly, but it will take everything the gate has, and it will hurt. How much? Her voice dropped. Enough to make. Both of us wish we'd never tried. Raylan grinned. Then we'd better make it count. The overload, they stepped back into the glowing circle of the gate's interface. The Aos voice deepened, almost like a drumbeat. Full Guardian command detected. Overload sequence available. Warning: irreversible damage to neural pathways. Possible. Lyra's hand found Ryland's. Ready? Always? The station's power surged. Light blazed along the asteroid's surface as every hidden cannon, every drone, every energy conduit activated at once. The hum became a roar. Vibrating through their bones in the void, the Armada's ships loomed closer seconds from firing. Now! Liara shouted. The galaxy's shock-white blue energy erupted in every direction. Beams lanced through carriers, cutting them in half. Entire wings of fighters vanished in bursts of light. The nearest destroyers melted under the assault. The asteroid field itself seemed to awaken, huge rocks shifting to reveal more weapons. When the storm ended, half the Armada was gone. The rest scattered in panic, fleeing to the edges of the system. The Emperor's flagship lingered for a moment longer, its dark silhouette framed against the burning wreckage. Then it turned and vanished into hyperspace. The aftermath, the glow, faded from Lyra's eyes. She staggered, and Ryland caught her before she fell. His own head pounded, his vision hazy, but they were both alive. Kara let out a long breath. The whole galaxy saw that. News of this will spread faster than any. Fleet. Raylan helped Lyra to her feet. Good. Let them talk. Let them wonder why a human chose the weakest princess. Liara's faint smile held both exhaustion and pride. Because you knew I wasn't weak. Ryland looked out at the wreckage. And now they know it too. Asterisk stunned the galaxy. The battle's echoes had faded, but the image of the destroyed Armada burned across every star system. Hollow feeds replayed the moment the asteroid's weapons tore through the Emperor's fleet over and over on every news channel. Across the galaxy, alien leaders watched in silence, struggling to process what they'd seen. A human commander standing beside the frailest royal of the Vrel Empire. And together, they had humbled one of the most feared rulers in the known worlds. The calm after the fire, inside the last gate's observation deck, Ryland stood with Lyra, looking out through the wide viewport. The asteroid field drifted in slow motion, lit by the pale glow of nearby stars. You're famous now, Kara said, walking in with a grin that didn't quite hide her exhaustion. Half the galaxy thinks you're a hero. The other half probably wants you dead. Raylan shrugged. That's an improvement. Usually, it's just the second half. Liara was quiet, her gaze fixed on the wreckage beyond the station. This is only the beginning. The Emperor will rebuild, and he will come again. Ryland turned to her. Then we'll be ready. This time, they won't underestimate either of us. The Emperor's humiliation reports began filtering in from informants. The Emperor had not appeared in public since his defeat. His council was in chaos. Several high-ranking nobles were openly questioning his leadership. For the Vrel Empire known for absolute obedience, this was unthinkable. But the humiliation cut deeper. Entire worlds whispered about the choice. That a human, given the pick of any prize, had taken the weakest princess and turned her into the weapon that brought an Armada to its knees. In marketplaces, alien traders told the story in hushed, excited tones. In military barracks, recruits swapped theories about the humans' plan. And on backwater worlds, children reenacted the battle, pretending to be the human and the princess who burned the sky. New Alliance the Gates II had been busy transmitting encrypted messages to certain factions' worlds oppressed by the Vrel. Empire, rebel cells who had been fighting in secret for years. One by one, ships began to arrive in the asteroid field. Not to fight, but to pledge loyalty. Small, fast vessels from border systems. Heavy freighters from mining colonies. Even defectors from the Emperor's Navy. Kara stood beside Ryland, watching the growing fleet assemble. You know what this means, right? You didn't just win. Battle, you started a movement. Ryland's voice was steady. Then we keep it moving. The weight of the crown later, in the quiet of her quarters, Liara sat with Ryland. She held a small crystal pendant in her hands, the only thing she had. Kept from her old life. I never wanted the throne, she said softly. But now, I don't think I have a choice. Ryland leaned back. Maybe it's not about being their ruler. Maybe it's about being their guardian. Her eyes met his, silver light still faintly glowing from the link they shared. And you? I'm just the guy who made a choice. The galaxy didn't understand, he said with a small smile. And I'd make it again. The broadcast the gate's comm systems lit up with an incoming transmission request from multiple major networks. Ryland looked at Liara. Your call, she nodded. Put it through. A moment later, her image was being broadcast to millions. No longer frail, no longer silent, she stood tall before the galaxy. My name is Liara Vril, she said. You called me weak. You called me useless. But today, you saw the truth. Weakness can endure when arrogance falls. I am not a prisoner of the Vrel Empire. I am the guardian of the last gate, and I will stand with anyone who chooses freedom. Over fear. The feed cut. The silence afterward felt like the galaxy itself was holding its breath. The last word when the broadcast ended, Kara broke the silence. That'll get his attention. Ryland smirked. Good, I want him watching. Liara stepped to the viewport beside him, looking out at the growing fleet. Ships were still arriving, different designs, colors, and crests all united under one choice. From this day forward, the galaxy would remember two things: that the weakest princess could topple an empire, and that one human had seen her worth. Before anyone else dared, Ryland's voice was low, meant only for her. They can keep guessing why I chose you. Let them. The truth's ours.